In January 2020, Parktown Boys High grade 8 pupil Enoch Mpianzi drowned while on a school orientation camp. And now, less than 3 years later, another Gauteng learner has drowned while on a field trip. 12-year-old Mandla Chauke, a pupil at Refalotse Primary in Tshwane, was with his school group at a resort on Friday when he drowned in a swimming pool. Let's get more information from Gauteng Education MEC Matome Chiloane. MEC, thank you so much for your time. It is just unspeakably tragic that we're dealing with yet another school trip where a child has drowned. I wonder if you can tell us what you know at this stage about how Mandla drowned.
Good evening to you and good evening to your viewers. We have communicated through our statement that they were on a school trip as well outlined, and there were educators present and as well as other parents, according to the information that we have currently. And subsequently, the learners came and called the educators, informing them of the situation with Mandla. They went and they pulled him out of the pool and they tried to resuscitate him. That's as far as we have. However, because of, as you also spoke about the situation from 2020, we have then undergone a further process of seeking an independent law firm to assist us to put this matter, to establish the true facts as to what really happened, so that we're able to allow the family with that particular report start the healing process, because they're also in pain of losing a child. Yeah, so that's where we are now.
Can you name the resort where Mandla and the school was?
I don't know the name. They identified it as a plot 118 or something.
Okay.
I don't know its name.
All right. So talk to me about the presence or lack thereof of teachers to watch the children while they were swimming. It sounds from what you've told me that the children had to come and call the teachers. Were they not watching the children in the water?
That's what we want to establish through this independent law firm, because clearly, if that's how the events have unfolded, we could assume from where we are that perhaps maybe they were not, some of them were not there at the presence where the children were swimming. So we also want to establish where the lifeguards at the resort, etc. So we don't want at this stage rather to make any assumptions with regard to what truly happened.
Yeah. Now, I understand that you've got an independent sort of legal process underway. But if we look back to what happened when Enoch Mpianzi drowned in January 2020, yes, they were on a school trip and he drowned in a river, not in a swimming pool. But the issue of who should have been watching the kids was central to it. Ultimately, it was found against the headmaster and I think some of the teachers as well. My understanding, and you will be able to tell me, at the end of the day, am I right that it is the education institution that has to be the primary group in charge of those children? You can't say, oh, they should have been lifeguards, because the headmaster was found guilty of gross misconduct in that case, wasn't he?
Yeah. Yes. In fact, the 2020 Enoch issue. However, it was also found that the headmaster had really tried to do his level best beyond after finding out what happened. Hence was cleared as well. But in this regard, I agree with you that educators are responsible for the child at school. Well, especially if they're currently under their care. And reasonably, it will not be unreasonable to expect them to have been conscious at all time and aware of what is happening with the kids, where are they, what is happening with them. So I agree with you in that regard. But what I don't want to do now is to is to make an assumption or assumption where that these educators could have done better. Of course, I do agree with you that there should have been more systems in place, because at the center, at the core of everything, there should be a certain process and systems in place to monitor when you take children to water-related activities. And in this regard, if you look at it, you know that some of those learners, or majority of them, presumably they are not able to swim. So what did you put in place in that regard? So we are hoping that the law firm will be able to establish all those facts and answer all those questions.
I understand. What changed after Enoch Mpianzi's death in terms of regulations around school trips and swimming?
The authorization, for one. Before we authorize, we look at a number of we monitor certain precautions and system. That's what we ensure that we tightened, so that so that schools, before they undertake an excursion, they are able to demonstrate firstly the safety of the learners, the safety of the educators, and also the program that will be there. What activities will they be undertaking, and how will they be undertaking those activities as groups? So we tightened that monitoring aspect. Hence, the frequency. I'm not saying that there were a lot of it was frequent, but we did ensure that we tightened. And they have to get authorization all the way up to the MEC's level to ensure that they get authorization to undertake a school trip such as this.
Yeah, and actually I have to say, I remember with my kids going on school trips, those forms were absolutely critical. But nearly 3 years on from Enoch's death, I mean, I have to ask, perhaps things didn't change really enough if we're sitting with another child on a school trip drowning. I mean, do you think that perhaps we didn't learn much at all from his death?
No, we learned. Look, one death too many. I mean, a loss of a child is a loss of a future.
Yeah.
Not only for themselves, but to their family and their community. So it's a big loss. And to say we have not learned, no, we have learned. There is these situations. They shouldn't occur, at all times. We've put all systems in place, and hence we ensured that before we grant a school an authorization to undertake such a trip, they need to demonstrate to us that the safety of learners will be prioritized. So, but however, on this case, hence we are seeking this law firm to establish if there was any negligence, because there are human errors that we can't really, prepare really for them. So if there was negligence on the part of the educators, then what next?
Sure.
That's what we are looking to establish.
I understand. Are you able to tell me if authorization and the program was correctly filed with the department before this trip?
Yes.
It was.
Yes,
so despite those measures being adhered to, this still happened, which means, as you say, this independent probe hopefully will establish. How soon are you expecting the result of this probe?
Look, I can't confirm now, but it was not going to be a very long probe. As soon as they're done, in fact, after we have appointed them and they're done, we'll make it public knowledge. We'll share the report with the media and society at large.
Thank you very much. Gauteng Education, MEC Matome Chiloane there, another child drowning on a field trip in Gauteng, despite regulations and another independent investigation, but another life gone.